Thank you, Mark, a lot, and thanks everyone for attending this fantastic event. Thanks to Andorra Business, Andorra Research and Innovation, and the government for hosting us today. It is a pleasure for me to moderate this very interesting roundtable with Jürg Capol, who is joining us online. Thank you very much, Jürg, for your time. Also with Chris Rapp from ISPO. Thanks, Chris, for being here, and Agustí from Ironman Group. Thank you very much all. So I would like to start with Chris, because we're really looking forward to attending next ISPO Munich in January, one of the biggest congresses for outdoor sports. So as the event that we're hosting today, it's around innovation, I would like to ask you, what kind of new innovations in winter sports specifically can we expect at ISPO this year? And also, what are the trends you are expecting for the future, or you are visualizing?
Yeah, first of all, welcome everybody, and thank you for inviting me. I would like to start with a slightly more global perspective, because we've all seen that the pandemic has changed all of our lives. And there's one very important conclusion for all of us, that sport has become more important than ever for all of us. From an individual perspective, where we've seen that people suddenly have access to sports that never did. Sports from a societal perspective, we've seen that sport can be the solution to many of the challenges we've seen during the pandemic. And coming down to what that means for the sports industry, obviously also looking specifically at winter sports. For some of the players, it has been a very hard time, because ski resorts have been closed. There was a lockdown in many countries, so most of the people were not really able to do sports. On the other side, we've seen developments in certain segments and growth, like, for example, ski touring and Nordic ski, where we've seen impressive growth rates. So that's one side of the picture. And then on the other side, from an industry perspective, as you already mentioned, Jorge, at ISPO, we're in the lucky situation that we've one of the biggest startup competitions, ISPO brand new. So startups obviously always being the window to the future somehow, and showing the latest innovation and trends of tomorrow, where we can see that there is some innovation in winter sports, definitely. It's not that much product and technology related. It's more about how can I engage in a better way with the consumer? How can I enhance the overall experience? So, for example, things like and companies like offering an overview of all ski resorts and evaluating different kind of those ski resorts, or digital applications, or things like, we've heard about this before, augmented reality, really improving the experience for the consumer. And then the last perspective I would like to mention is obviously the consumer perspective. The development we are seeing there, because we are also running consumer insights, is that on the one side, especially the younger target group, the digital natives, they are mixing real and virtual experiences, so you always have to offer a seamless customer journey on the one side. And on the other side, and that's a topic we heard about several times already today, sustainability is really key, not only from an industry perspective, but even more from a consumer perspective. So I would say that is, in short words, a little bit what is the current development.
Okay, definitely. We will be looking forward to ISPO in January to see all these trends. I see Jürg is already with us. Welcome, Jürg, and thank you for joining us online. I wanted to ask you, because we know FIS got really impressed with Andorra's candidacy to host the Alpine World Championships. And in your opinion, tell us a little bit what makes Andorra so attractive to host this kind of events? I don't know if you can hear us. Okay, I will then, until Jürg can unmute himself, I will keep with Agustí, because we were talking a lot about the pandemic, the impact that the whole sports industry had in those 2 years. So we're slowly recovering right now, but the mass participation events industry has definitely suffered a lot during this time. And I wanted to ask you, how have you been adapting from Ironman your events to this post-pandemic world?
First of all, thank you for inviting me, and congrats to Andorra Business for creating this beautiful space to talk about our industry. First of all, we have 1.5 million athletes every year, and 300 events around the world. I think our impact is really big, really big. How react as at this moment in 2020? We react first talking with authorities, trying to deliver the events with all the protocols have in every moment. We have events. If you imagine, it's really different in every country. Every moment are different as well. And this is the first reaction we have as a company. No? The second one, we have 1.5 million athletes not able to compete in our races. And we need introduce something new and created something new to maintain the spirit to the athletes training during the lockdown. We create a virtual racing, and with combination about Facebook Watch. At the same time, we create a good competition virtual in the house with turbo trainers, with running in the house. And really, we have a really good engagement to the athletes to maintain the spirit high. Every athletes are ready to train and ready for when we open the events. I think is super important, and the engagement with the athletes, plus that 1 million athletes are competing in our races. And I think it's super important to maintain this spirit high, and all events are really ready to compete in our races. And finally, we create a new events. We create in this moment, difficult moment, we need to react. And this is for this we create with the government Andorra Multisport Festival, a new event with a new sports, unique combination, and this is really, really important for the athletes. In 2020, we don't have the possibility to organize the events, but the future and the present for the sports are growing a lot, and we need to create a new ones. And this is a clear example, works, and during the pandemic, we deliver events as well with all the protocols, and it's a really successful event.
Mm-hmm. Definitely different and challenging times, but also very exciting opportunities ahead. Talking about opportunities, I don't know if Jürg already can hear me. I was asking you before that we know FIS got really impressed with Andorra's candidacy to host the Alpine World Ski Championships. And I wanted to ask you what makes Andorra so attractive to host these kind of events. I don't know if you can hear me.
Very well. I hope you can hear me as well. Seems like thumb up. So good day to everybody. Sorry for technical issues here. Andorra, for me, it's in this case an Eldorado for sport, for outdoor sport activity. You have, first of all, beautiful surrounding. You have, I would say, strong people which believe in things to move. And of course, you have very skilled innovation around. So I guess it's just time for Andorra. If it will be 27 or if it's later, that I cannot promise. It's not up to decide, but at least we have a strong tendency, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Chris, you were mentioning before the importance of consumers and customers. I wanted to ask, co-creation, I think it's something very trendy, and I wanted to ask you how important for you is this co-creation between startups, brands, retailers, companies from the sector in general, and their customers, and how do you explain a little bit how do you foster this at ISPO?
Yeah, sure. I think, first of all, without a clear customer centricity mindset nowadays, it is very difficult to succeed in business anyway. So the consumer focus is actually something that goes along the whole value chain. And co-creation, obviously, is a very important topic in that value chain because it's at a very early stage, but the consumer involvement really should happen in all stages. But really focusing on the co-creation, most of you may know ISPO as a trade show. You were mentioning the trade show that always happens beginning of the year in Munich as a global big platform and event. But we've also seen, and already like 10 years ago, that at some point we also need to involve the consumer. And as our business model at ISPO is really to connect stakeholders in sports, the consumer is definitely now one of the most important target groups. So what we are doing is we're connecting the consumer with brands and companies to also trigger co-creation processes. We launched a service, a solution almost 10 years ago that's called, or was called, ISPO Open Innovation, with the objective to the very early stage involve the consumer in the development of new products. Because the closer this process happens, the lesser the risk for a market launch that doesn't work for the consumer, actually, the product. So, and that's now coming back to what I explained before, then we've seen that companies and brands are using this consumer experts community we are having, a community that now has grown to 70 or 80,000 consumer experts, is used not just for co-creation processes, but also for testing existing products to, of course, generate consumer insights, because that's probably the first step. So you need to know, first of all, what the consumer wants before you then can start the product development process. And I think it's a very important topic to come back to your question. We are pushing this actively since many years. We are expanding it. So we transformed what was ISPO Open Innovation into the ISPO Collaborators Club, even offering more benefits to companies and consumers. And there's also one thing I would like to mention additionally. It's not just about co-creation between a brand and a consumer. It's also about collaboration. Because we've seen, especially in the last years, that companies are way more open for collaboration than maybe that was like 10, 15 years ago. And we also always have to keep in mind that the sports industry is a very strong industry, but there's also the need of collaboration because there are other industries like consumer electronics, etc. And consumer obviously can only spend €1 once and can only spend an hour once a day. So I think collaboration is also key. And maybe just to give you an example or how this can be implemented, a couple of years ago we had a project with different running shoe companies collaborating with consumers to develop the most sustainable trail running shoes. So I think such kind of projects are really needed to foster innovation and to really bring the sports industry a step further in ahead.
So definitely co-creation and collaboration, I think it's going to be very important for a trending topic that we are seeing in the sports industry right now, and that it's been already discussed or mentioned today, which is sustainability and social impact. So I think we are running a little bit out of time, so this is going to be a general question for all of you. I want to know what's your opinion on how your organizations, we can contribute with a positive impact in regions and countries like Andorra that has great abundance of natural resources. So maybe we can start with you, Agustí.
Yes, for us it's super important, and for our athletes, environment, social environment, and the impact we have in our events are primary in our plans. Probably during the pandemic, probably it's stopped a little bit, but of course we are working really hard for that to introduce some changes but our partners as well are really interested, no? At this moment, we create more sustainability events and respect the natural resources as well, and for our athletes as well. No? It's a combination to the big effort for us. I think this is the right time to work with authorities as well, and with agencies to grow and improve our events, and let's respect our natural resources, of course.
I guess governing bodies such as the International Ski Federation have a key role as well in this sense. Jürg, what's your opinion about this?
Sorry, I can't understand you now again.
Sorry, the question was, right now sustainability and social impact are trending topics. So what can be done from governing bodies such as FIS to contribute with a positive impact in sustainability in regions like Andorra or similar?
Sorry for that.
Can you hear us? I think Jürg cannot hear us. So, Chris, your opinion about that?
On
the sustainability point of view, from an organization like ISPO in terms of maybe as well innovation.
I think there are, again, two perspectives. On the one side, relating directly to Andorra, and that's a discussion I've had with many of the participants of this conference already. I think the big advantage Andorra has that it is comparably small and therefore has a speed that other countries may not have. So to implement things like sustainability efforts may be easier and may be a competitive advantage of regions and countries like Andorra. And then on the other side, and we talked about this before, I think sustainability will be a key business factor in the future. It will not only be a trend, but if you don't include sustainability into your company culture and into your business strategy, you will get in trouble sooner or later.
Jürg, can you hear us?
I can hear you. I hope you can hear me as well. Sorry.
Okay.
No, I understood. As regards sustainability, of course.
Yes, because we are the Wind Sport Federation, the biggest one, and I guess we all need winter in this case. And if it would not be the example to say we should do something, even maybe if FIS as such will not change everything, but you need to have clear targets. As you might know, we have now a new president, which follows really this in his manifesto. Of course, he's now in charge since a few months, but I would say that the scales, what we want to reach, and in cooperation with the organization Cool Earth, we do our next step. and I guess it's in our manifesto, which is called the manifesto from 2 years ago. We want to be on our level of events carbon-free on 2030. And that means you need some steps between, but it's at least a direct direction. And so it's a step by step, of course, also to be realistic. We cannot change everything in a short time, but we need a clear target. And if we would not have it, in this case, we are not a beach volleyball federation. We are depending on winter, and winter is what drives the tourism, what drives whatever the beautiful landscape. And that's a kind of, we have to work for that direction, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Well, Jürg, thank you very much for your answer, for joining us online as well. I guess we're run out of time, so I wanted to thank again Agustí and Chris for the very interesting insights, and all of you for attending this panel. So thanks a lot.
Thank you.